is Catherine. I am also known by Katie. I am an Australian living in Sydney. I've been stitching since I was about 12 on and off through childhood, and a dedicated stitcher from the age of 17, 18. I have mainly focused on one whip at a time and kits. As needle shops, they are around, there's plenty, but a very, very bad experience with them. But that's not why we're here. I'm here to give a review and my pros and my cons with the different methods of storing your floss. I have spent the better part of, I'd say, a few years now, but two specifically, but quite a few years I've been changing and chopping and trying to find what works for me. And I have had recently, in the last 2 years, had to change my method again due to unforeseen circumstances. So a bit about me and why I've changed. So I am a fidgeter. When I sit, I fidget a lot. I cannot sit still, so I would not be able to balance anything on my lap. I am primarily a hoop stitcher, as you can see on my wall. I have stitched with scroll frames, but unfortunately the ones you can get in Australia for a fair price were handed down by my nan, and the split bar ones, which do not give tension, and I like drum tight. I have hoops fail too. I have had many problems, but I have found that the Nurge hoops have not failed me. They do give up the tension for me, but I think I have over tightened it. Little bugs, you slowly learn. Now, I have for a very long time had very limited space. I am now fortunate enough in this house to have my little craft room. I am learning to use a sewing machine, and I am slowly learning many tricks. I was a bouncer craft. I liked multiple different things, so I used to just go in a drawer and grab my next craft, and over the years I've decided I gotta stop doing that. And I'm trying to cut a lot of crafts out, or if there is a craft I want to hang on to, link them together so that I'm always doing them in conjunction with one another. But what I wanted to show you is what I found was good and bad about the different methods of floss storage I went through, because I could not find one on Floss Tube for many different things, for certain things I was looking into, and found a lot of people showing how they use the method they have, but nothing correlating all of them together and what is wrong with them for, I'll just say for my sake, and you can take them or you can leave them. Now these methods this may be irrelevant to you, who knows, but if it helps some people not waste money, not end up with bits and bobbits everywhere in their rooms or little spaces, I'm happy. I'm a happy camper. I am not here to start Floss Tube at the moment. I am here to show you what I've learned. Now, why I've had to do all this, I have a blind cat. He went blind about 2 years ago now. He cannot, and he should probably start crying eventually. The fire's on to hopefully keep him all settled. He does not cope without my presence and sitting on my lap or my shoulders. He will cry. And he walks anywhere. And I can't have new things, new furniture, no. He'll cry if he finds something and he can't figure out what it is. He'll just cry. He'll just cry. I can't easily work around him. He walks particular routes through the house, and often that limits how much I stitch. He went for a stage. He's over it now. Thank heavens, he went for a stage that he sat right there on my arm, and I couldn't reach my tray that keeps all my stitching supplies. And every time I tried to reach over, he would go off at me. That was just, and if I tried to move him, he would start to yell. That was fun. It almost drove my husband batty. And just the wailing. And it caused my tendinitis, and I have a condition in my left shoulder where I get inflammation quite severely, where I can lose use of my hand. Randomly, my hand will just lose use of the fingers. I have been checked for carpal tunnel because the finger connection is usually carpal tunnel related. I do not have it. I, as a kid, dislocated both shoulders, so I'm connecting it to the fact that as a kid, back in the day, they don't really send you to physiotherapy to treat your wounds properly, and I think it just, over time, it has got weakened. It had, the career I have chosen does beat your body up. Why? I have had, in the last 2 years, 2 surgeries. That's another reason I had to sort my floss, because I can no longer sit the way as I sit. I'm accustomed to sitting. I can't keep my left leg bent. I used to tuck my legs under me. That doesn't work anymore. I now have to have my leg out. And I like to stitch with a blanket, and that causes problems with floss as well. So, without further ado, I'm going to go with I made little notepads for myself. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to cover is the Payco. Paycos. Alright, I bought one. I loved it for months and months and months. It was fantastic. It was not a problem originally. There was a few things I disliked about it, but most of it was tolerable. So I say. Alright, so pros. Your floss is all displayed. If you only have about. The one I had could do 50 colours, I believe it was. I do not know where it is. I may have already thrown it out because I hate it. Actually, I did. I hated it. I didn't throw much out, but that's how much I hated that one. Okay, great because you can have all your colours there. You can't have a lot of them though, because then the foam break doesn't work. You can pull each strand typically quite easily. You have a bit of foam to put your needle in, and you can have just the symbol. That's pretty much the pros of it. That's all I found. That was the pros. You know, pre-cutted floss in it. That was the only pros. Cons. Who would be ready? Okay, so the cons I found was the label card was very small. The label card would fall out, and then you had to make sure you put it in the right way. The floss would fall off half the time when I was pulling a strand from it because the foam would wear out. I actually found I had to split all the floss before I put it on the Payco if I wanted to actually be able to pull out each strand. The foam's replaceable, but it wore so fast. It was just crazy. Another con, limited amount of floss you can put on it without damaging the foam. The needles would actually fall out after a while because the foam was wearing out. It looked pretty grubby, having so many holes in it. The spikes broke quite easily, and if they didn't, it often got knocked over and spiked me because my leg landed on it because I didn't realise it was under my blanket. Or my cat would go and step on it and then my cat would almost step on it, my dog would almost lie on it, I would rest my arm on it and end up with bruises and marks. Yeah, and it's needed a place to be kept, and it fell over off my arm on my armchair because I sit on a lounge or an armchair. For the years, it fell off all the time. And portability, not really. Like, some people get a and portable, way to go. But I found the way I usually put everything in a bag, that doesn't work. Because often when I was pulling it out of the bag, the floss would fall off. That's the other thing. The floss can fall off, and if multiple strand types of colours fall off, there's no way to identify them and put them back on, unless you get your master kit. Which, if you were out and about, which is typically when they fell off, that didn't work. So those are the cons and the pros of the Payco. Now, I do know there is a company that makes a Payco, I only found them recently, that doesn't have the tabs and isn't foam. It's all wood and neodymium, I believe I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but anyway, magnets inside it. Absolutely beautiful. I really want some. I was really keen on getting them. I was uncertain about the floss security on it, but the lady had fantastic service. She explained everything. But for what I wanted, it's $200 for the wood is not, the things for what they are not expensive. The shipping is, because it's from Russia to Australia, was quite dear. In total, I could get enough Paycos for, and the scissors, little scissors and needle container, and yeah, that was all I was getting, and enough Paycos for a Max Color Amy Stewart design was, and shipping was about $200, which sounds dear, but it's actually was alright. They were about, if I remember correctly, I think they're $20 a Payco. They're Paycos. They're called Julian's, and it's Eternal Items if you are interested. I don't think I'll be able to put a link, but I may try. They're on Instagram and Facebook. I have found them, and they looked really, really good. They had a card that slides in. The thing I liked was the card was really large. You could really draw really large symbols, because drawing tiny symbols on that Payco, I'm sorry, that was hard, especially some of the detailed symbols. But they're quite large, and if you didn't want to do that, the other side, you could do the number, which I thought was great, because if it fell off, you could just, if you applied it properly and put the number on the opposite side of the symbol, if you had the symbol, slide it out, flip it, and go, okay, that symbol, and slide it back in. So I was quite pleased with those, and I am still thinking about getting one just to try the product, because they look really nice, and they come in all different colors, and they're just, check them out. There are videos on Instagram all about them. It doesn't seem like many people know about them. I have not seen people review them. I cannot find reviews on them. Maybe some Russians, and unfortunately I don't know how to search through the Russian database of FlossTube. Might use them, but they're really nice. You can get 30 and 60 color Paycos. They're really nice. Can't give you pros and cons on them, but they're made from beechwood. I know that much. They're compressed. They've got neodymium magnets. You can get them with or without needle holes, I believe. So that yeah, they were just, they have so many, she is amazing, that lady that makes them. Honestly, look into them if you are interested in Paycos, because if you use Paycos, change to these, I swear you would be happy. More happy than your normal one, because you won't need to, it comes with a little hook to load it, it's loaded with a hook, it can hold a full skein, like, it's just, I don't see anything wrong with them. That's Paycos. Okay. Alright, so then I worked by skeins, just on their own. Now, I will go through the pros of that. Pros, nothing needed but your scissors and your skeins. Who's going to complain about that? That's pretty easy. You just grab your colour. Okay, and you can customize how long for each time you need it. Now, many people love that. I actually found that a flaw for me, because I learnt to stitch doing needlepoint. So 6 strands of cotton. Now, that meant I sometimes would end up with a skein of floss that long. Now in Australia, skeins at DMC are quite pricey. They are quite expensive. And these were my nans, and I was a kid of only about 15 at the time, I want to say. I didn't have pocket money. I had a single dad. My parents were separated. I lived with my father, and he worked 6 days a week just to keep the roof over our head and food. I was not going to ask for $7 to go get some skeins. He'd give it, without a doubt. He always supported anything I wanted to do, but I knew better than to ask. I wasn't told I wasn't allowed to ask for things. He gave me lunch money every week. I would usually, if I wanted something, I would just have just a 80-cent roll from the canteen to get me through the day, and I would put that money aside until I had enough to get what I wanted. That's just how I grew up. Money was something that you respected. Now, I'm not saying people don't. It's just everyone has a different upbringing and a different view of spending. And so when I had a strand that much, I would have to use it because I couldn't justify wasting it. And that's just, no. That's why I don't like working from a skein or uncut at any point in time, because I like consistency. If I go on my own, I tend to cut them too long or too short, and they have a knot because I've cut them too long, or they're a pain in the butt for constantly having to finish and start because I cut them too short. So those are the reasons I don't like having to cut my floss, as in from a wound or object. Very easy storage. Very easy. My nan had them all in this. I still have it. This was my nan's needlepoint and all her skeins. And I just worked from there as a kid. I just pulled out the colour I needed, cut the strip bit I needed, and put it back in. And that's the other. Okay. And there was a lot in there. Don't know what happened to it all, to be honest. I know I don't use it all. Okay. So, the cons. They knot. Often, I don't know if it's just me, I cannot unravel a skein without it knotting. Ooh, that's frustrating. So, typically, skeins knot on me if I try and unravel them and keep the labels on. Limited label. It's great that you have that number label, but I have poor eyesight, unfortunately. I am actually almost blind in my right eye. I'm hoping soon to be able to get that repaired in 5 years. If not, luckily, I may be able to get it repaired sooner. I've had to have special surgery on this eye to prevent it going completely blind. It's called cross-linking, if you're curious, and it was brutal. The recovery was brutal. The surgery was fine, but the recovery was brutal. My husband had to actually keep me in a painkiller coma for 3 days because if I even started to wake up, I started to cry out. It was not pleasant. I would not do it again if I had the choice. And my left eye, fortunately, was supposed to have the surgery as well, but I'm guessing the body had so much trauma recovering from that what was taking my eyesight, which is called keratoconus disease, decided to jump ship. Thank heavens. So that was fortunate for me. Very fortunate. Now, so that's the other thing. Skeins are misplaceable. And with the labels, you can't put symbols. So those will, and the labels fall off. So, and non-pre-cut was the other thing. Not too many problems with it, just a few. Really. Just didn't work for me. Alright. Now I'm rambling. We're gonna go with this one. Bobbins. Oh, now I love the look of bobbins. I love looking at everyone's little bobbin stash and how pretty they are. There's these new ones that are out that are really nice. I was tempted, very tempted to just go with them because I thought they would be the best thing, especially with the master box being, you know, quite compact. I am grateful I didn't, but these are, so my pros are extremely compact, looks lovely. They do look pretty and you can see all your colours and easily to if you were customizing your charts. They are nice and small and petite and take up very few little space. There's no cutting to put them on required, but as I have said, I prefer my pre-cut floss, so that didn't work. They also can go on rings. That is quite good. That is quite flexible. And the other thing is that them being wrapped means less likely to get dirty, in a sense. Now the cons. They're too small. Too small for labels for my eyesight. I can read small writing. Don't get me wrong. I can. I write quite small, typically. I can read small writing. Unfortunately, it takes me time. And when you just want to carry on stitching, you don't want to have to sit there taking your time to read the symbols. I've tried bobbins. I have given them about 3 different tries. I was really trying to make them work, but they just don't work. I have not tried the plastic ones. The main problem I found with them was flimsy, they fall over. In the trays I have, which are proper bobbin boxes, I had to lie them that way. Otherwise, if I lied them that way, the tops would get creased and then the sticker would fall off. Or my writing would get damaged, or the hole at the top would rip. And I am a neat freak. Doesn't look like it, but I prefer neat things. So you had limited of what you could write on the top of the bobbin. You need the containers for them. Well, that's annoying. They are knock-overable. Oh my heavens, how many times I had to stop stitching and chase after my box and pick it all up because either myself, my dog, or my cat knocked it flying. They're misplaceable if you don't put them back in the box. Heaven to Betsy, how many times I've lost a colour from a kit and had to put the project away for about a month until the bobbin turned up because I couldn't find it. A lot of people don't like the winding. I don't mind the winding per se of the full skein, but once I've cut the skein, winding it does drive me nuts. Now, excuse me, that was to tell me that I need to let my chickens out to free range. Give me a moment. Sorry about that. Miser, it's cold out there. It's winter in Australia. If you don't think it gets cold here, it gets cold. And the sun is just coming over. You still can't see it. Whew. Yes, I have 4 chickens. They are only 14 weeks of age, so they are not egg layers just yet. Bobbins. So, yeah, the rewinding of the already cut floss, as I said, the fact that I can do random lengths does not work for me. The flimsiness, I know there are fancy ones that are stronger and sturdier, and they're falling down in the box, like I still have it. It's sitting back here, the good old bobbin box. So, bobbins don't work for me. Now, if they work for many people, fantastic. But I just found they did not work for me. Even putting them on a key ring did not work. On the little card rings, did not work. Bobbins, no. Okay. Then the other thing I've tried is floss bags. Hey, I have just literally spent the majority of yesterday, and I still have much today of flossing all my floss off out of my floss bags. Oh, good. There is bags and bags, and I believe there's another one. Oh, and all that. All this was in floss bags. Okay, I will. Alright, so, the pros is they keep things clean. They really do. They are fantastic. They are flexible to label. You can grab a sticker and put any sticker on it, or you can use cards that you put inside and just label on the card. And depending on the size of your floss bag you use is the size of the amount of card and sticker you can put on. That's great. The stickers, not so good, they fall off. But they're flexible. You can just peel it off and change it. Easy done. Or take the card out and put a new card in. If you use the card to stiffen, which I have tried without it and I have tried with it. Here is my baggie of floss bags that are rubbished. There are many floss bags because I used the snack bags with a big, with that size card. Numbers. I can set the number size to as big as I want. That was when my eyes were really good, before I knew I was visually impaired. And very flexible. Fantastic. Storage isn't too bad. It is a bit bulky, I will give it. I had, well, I'm actually, in this shoebox, which is full a lot of stuff, in this shoebox, which was a stilettos shoebox, if anyone needs to know, I had, where did I put it? All that floss, which I spent all yesterday turning into this. So all that floss fit in there in little snack bags. I haven't thrown the snack bags out because I didn't write on them or anything. They're being kept because snack bags can't hurt. Another thing I have, which I will get up so I can show you, is I actually put, because I had 3 kits in floss bags. All that is 2, and then I had the other one in this box, which the lid has broken on. Which it just needs a new pin in the hinge and the lid can go back on. I stole from work. I work in a vet. I pinched from this which sandwich bags fit pretty much perfectly. And I had them all in there instead. I had 2 of these. I have 2 of these. I still haven't thrown them out yet. But well, I only just finished emptying the other one out. They were great, but they even when you put the cardstock in it, they still fell over and slipped and slide. They didn't in that because they in the fabric box because they just fit. So they were secure in there. That was great. But I found that, and I loved that I could pull a floss pre-cut length out, pull the strand I needed, put that one at the back of the card to say it's had strands removed, and have the actual rest of the colours at the front. And I could even put my offcuts into the back behind the card to say these are used threads that I can still use again. I did like that and it worked well, but the thing was I needed somewhere to put it. On my lap, on my arm. It wasn't a big deal when it got knocked over because the floss wasn't going anywhere but wherever the bag went. Yes, the bag went missing for a few weeks occasionally. When I found the bag, the floss was clean inside. sometimes the bag was really gross. And I had to get a new bag after cleaning the outside of the bag so it was safe to pull the floss out. But they just didn't work. And then putting them on little rings, you had to put holes in them, which kind of defeated the security of them. So the flaws I found with them was storage. You can screw up the collars if you don't close it properly and they fall out, and then you put them back in. You can screw that up if you've got the label actually on the floss or on the bag. So an example of this happened to me. I stitched 2 pages worth of a beautiful chart before something was wrong. It wasn't wrong what I thought was wrong. I ended up with a page line because I was trying parking for the first time. But that wasn't what killed it. And I only found this last night. This kit is a rollers kit. Where is the rest of the stuff? There it is. It was a rollers kit. And it came with this, a little sample card, which I thought was great. I'm not going to screw up my floss. So she says. Somehow, this fell out of the bag, 2 strands came off. Give me a moment. One moment. I gotta get to the other one. Never mind. Yep. Okay. I think I figured this out after I fixed this, to be honest. But my 9 and 6 were mislabeled for my first set. My 9 and my 6 were labelled the other way around. So I didn't know if I actually had misstitched it. Because now they're labelled correctly. Now I'm confused. And I threw that piece out. I had it. So, but because of the pace, I mucked it up. So I had to, and unfortunately you couldn't just buy the chart. And the chart didn't actually tell you what floss was used. It was just numbers, 1 to 25, I think. And so I couldn't even just go buy the floss. And since I didn't know which ones were the right numbers, and where I'd mucked up, and it's the chart, I'll see if I can show you the tiniest bit of the chart, is little symbols, microscopic symbols. And it didn't, and the key, which I can show you, is just that. That's all you get. And then you get a floss on your card. So, there she is. Beautiful. So it didn't work, and it's all blends. So I decided I had to get it again. I couldn't find it. The company I bought it from didn't have it, and I didn't know where else to look. Everywhere I looked it wasn't turning up because I didn't know the name of it, I didn't know the brand of it, the designer of it, because I used to cut things up and put them, only what I needed, into a little art book, and so that was all I had. That and the chart. I didn't have any other info on it. So try finding something with that. And I had the sister. There was 2. It was a pair, and I bought them as a pair. So I struggled and struggled, and I fortunately sent I got lucky. I saw a chart, came into the catalog where I bought this, that was a different horse entirely, but the style, I could tell it was the blends. So I immediately typed in the designer and found her. Happiest day of my life. So It's a Russian design. It's rollers. Right away found out it was anchor floss, and I was like, no one stocks anchor floss in my area. Okay, and then I was like, oh, I'll just get the chart, and I can get DMC conversions, easy. I contacted my supplier and asked her, because I could, everywhere I looked it was only kits for $70, $70 to $80, and I was like, or over $100, and I was like, surely I can get a kit, get just the chart. So I contacted my supplier and I said, do you know if you can get this design? I gave her the number and the code as just a chart. If so, could you get it for me and I will purchase it from you? She said, I will have a look into it, give me about 2 weeks. And I said, that's fine, I'm not in a rush. I'm just ecstatic that I found it. If I can get it, I'll get it. But I wanted a new chart because my chart was quite worn out. She contacted me back in a week saying, I have done a search, you can only get them as the kits, unfortunately. I can get you a kit, it will be $90. And I was like, oh, heaven to Betsy. But I wanted to have this. I was making this for 2 twins. I have finished the first one. The twins love the first one. I really needed the second one, so when they move apart, they each have one. Like, I couldn't not finish it. I loved it so much. So I bit the bullet and spent my entire Christmas money, $100 worth of money, entire Christmas allowance on the kit. And the kit turned up. Beautiful floss. Same floss, as you can see. I am combining the old kit with the new kit. So that's the old kit, that's the new kit. So I've already made another monumental mistake and have to restart it a 3rd time. But I don't think I'm going to get run out of the floss, and I know it's anchor now. And I have kept a bag with a strand for every colour so that I can, if everything fails, match it to a DMC if I can't get an anchor, or match it to the anchor cards and find the appropriate colour number, because they still don't have them. But they are stored a lot better on Bobbin, their version of Bobbin cards, which were okay. But again, I like my pre-cut floss. Alright, so that was a bit of a deviation. But yeah, main problem I found is they fall over, they escape you, they knot in there when you pull them out. A lot of these knot because I actually used to pre-split my strands, because I used to put them in these and then use what was in there to refill my Peiko and work from my Peiko. And then I would put them in here and put them away in here and pick out a different project and reload my Peiko. So that is why they would knot quite badly. So that's why these ones look slightly lighter, because they have been pre-split, so the colour is not as solid in them. But it is definitely the same colour. I know that without a doubt. So yeah. So that's floss bags. So floss bags do take up a lot of space. They are quite bulky. They crinkly. The labels can fall off. You can get knots. You can screw up labeling them. That is what happened to the one in the shoebox. I put 2 kits in there thinking they'd be fine. Somehow I labeled 3 different colours the same colour multiple times with different things. I don't know what in the world happened. I do not know. I do not know. I believe it was because I was kitting it when my house was crazy. My husband had his friends over practically every day, and I would sit in at my little table in the study, and he was friends, and him would be playing in the study, and actually the friend would ask to use my table for his computer because he'd bring his computer, and I would often just sit on my beanbag on the floor with the floss in a little tub, and somehow I mucked that up monumentally, and it's taken me 5-6 years to fix it, let alone realise, and it's finally now all in there, and I'm pretty sure it's correctly labelled, but I will be doing a double check. So that is the flaws of floss bags. Things like that can happen badly. Now, next thing I tried was key tags. There's still some on them. This looks like a mess. It made sense to my mind because they're blends. So I had 16. This was 9, which is already on the new thing. 16 was actually stored on this one. It says 16, so if this one needed this kind of blend, it went here, on there, and then 11, 10. Don't even. It looks like chaos, but it made sense to me. Now, I love these. I got the flexible ones. They were pretty cheap in general. They came with these, so I didn't have to buy rings. You just, connect as many as you want to make it as big as you want. It's a bit too flexible though, unfortunately, I found out. Now, I used these almost to finish a project. I've got 4,000 stitches left, and it's a 57,000 and something size piece in total. So it's a big piece. It's not a little piece. It's a big piece. Me speaking. It's the largest piece I've ever done. And they were great. I did find that some of my floss got damaged there's a rough part here which I have tried to shave off, but I need to sand it or something if I actually think. The card can slip out. You can put a full skein and pre-carded floss on there. That was great, not too much problems. As it gets less, it does try and fall off, but it was pretty easy to control. I had big labels. I'll see if I can show you. Nope. I know I have some big labels, old ones lying around in here. Give me one moment. Do you have your symbol inside you? Do you have your symbol inside you? Do any of you still have numbers in you? That aren't these numbers? Apparently not. Apparently not. Oh, hang on. Yeah. This will still have everything on it. Nice and big for my eyes. It was fantastic. They weren't so hard to sort through, but I ended up having to buy harder rings because I think that was what was causing a lot of my problems with them. And it did actually make it a lot better and more tolerable, but I decided in the long run these were not working for me. And okay, let's give you the pros first. So they're quite compact, they're quite pretty having all the floss off them. They're pre-cut, they go on a ring, large labels, and you can put stickers on the back, the symbols on the back is what I did. I made larger ones, symbols on the back quite easily, excuse me, and they're very, very portable. Now the cons for me, when you have a lot of, this is only 24, enough key tags for 24 colours. It's quite bulky in the sense of on the ring to sort through. It's quite bulky. Very misplaceable. Very great because you can just put it in a container, but also very misplaceable. Picks up other things quite easily, which is very frustrating. So you would not believe how many times my needle went missing, and it was this, while sorting through this with my project in front of me, it just grabbed my needle. Which when you have animals was not ideal. The floss, kind of nuts, but not that bad. It depends on how you cut them. They can get quite a lot of hair trapped in them and get quite dirty, and if you place them somewhere silly and spill a tea, yeah. You need a large volume of them to, say, do all your things. I did try storing them on a coat hanger in the cupboard, like I've seen people do, kind of in a filing cabinet system. Did not work for me. Now, the other thing was putting the, what do you call them, like the used strands on them was a bit of a challenge also. Like if you had the floss. I did find that they fit alright in the little slit that moves. I think you can see it better from the back. That little slit, that little sliver, you could thread your needle through there and loop it through and put them there. But all in all, they were fantastic. But the main problem I found with these was because they were so freaking light, they would get wrapped in my blanket and get misplaced. They would fall to the floor and I wouldn't realise. And I would trot on them, which they didn't break. That was good, but they weren't exactly pleasant to tread on. I have to fiddle around and move, and if Jasper was my cat was settled on me, that was not fun to find them. And a few times, I would have them in my lap. Benji my dog would put his toy on my lap, and I would go, oh dear. Fortunately, he did not chase them and pick them up. He knew right away that that was something he doesn't touch. And he just would look at me and go, what did you just do? And I'd just go, oh dear. I did that quite a few times, actually. It was not something I was impressed with. It was really annoying when you were quite comfortable and you had to get up and go get it. I actually a few times wished he would pick them up and bring them back to me. But okay, so they did not work because they were easily throwable and mistakable and easily misplaceable and just, yeah, and a little bulky. They are extremely portable though. I really did love them for quite some time. I used them for, I'd say, a full year plus, and they worked really well. But in the last few months, I have realised, especially when I'm with my leg and the fidget, that I'm a bit more even more fidgety because of my leg. These were just running away, and having to try. I had hooks on my trolley to put them on. They would fall off. I would misplace them. My hand would just lose tension and just drop them if my tendonitis had flared up. They could get knocked off, and no, they just in general were not working anymore. I did give them a really good try, and I don't dislike them per se, they're just not working. So that's key tags. Key tags are a good option if you're looking for something that's pretty easy to thing and pretty small pack, and they fit in a bag quite nicely. So they didn't work. So then I went to stitching bows. Now, I'm trying to figure out where I've put those. I went to stitching bows. These didn't last long, to be honest. They did not last long in their trial. Pros, they are small, they are compact, they are flexible. There is no cutting, again, but I prefer that. I prefer pre-cutted. Can be stored in many ways, excluding on the ring. They cannot go on a ring that I have seen. They are you can store them in drawers. I've seen people store them in drawers. I've seen, everyone knows of the sleeves. I've seen people have them in floss away bags. I've seen people just have them in a bunch and in a bag. I've seen them in many, many ways, and they are quite pretty. I will give them that. Now, the cons I found was, and the other pro is DMC fits straight on. I am using CXC. I'm changing to CXC. So CXC is wrapped slightly tighter so that you have to unwind and rewind on your bobbin, your skeins. The labels I found slipped off quite easily even after putting sticky tape on trying to hold them. The limited amount of label, you can really only put the little label on that. I don't know where they are. You can really only put the little label on, actually. What am I thinking? I have one still on here that I have not finished taking off. I was wondering where the last 10th one was. So that's a CXC. I've marked it by putting my Corgi Wasabi tape on it, which is acid free. And the label is already fallen off. Now I know what colour this is when I look at my stuff, but not right off the top of my head. But I know I kept the label. I found the label and I still have the label floating around, so that I can take this off and return it to my drawer. I might just pre-cut it since it's already done. The good thing I found, is this tiny little hole was good because you could put your already cut length on there. Now, people suggested using the little thing to hold it in place on here. Now, I tried by just having it still on the skein, and I tried by cutting it and then retaping it on. Now, the only flaws I found with that is unraveling it was fiddly because I would have to tug, find the correct strand, pull it back out, and repeat till I got the length I wanted. Again, that didn't work. The other thing is, because as I said, I like a certain length, I try and measure with a ruler if I did, and with a bobbin that was easy because I could just wind and hold the bobbin in my hand. Not so flexible with these. So, and these are quite expensive. For 10, it's $3.50 in Australia for 10 of these. So, yeah, I would get them out, but everything's going to fall over if I do. So, I did. No! For 10 of these. The other flaw I find is the hooks would often slip under each other and grab each other if you stored them in a drawer or a container or where they were all together. The sleeves are probably good, but they're pricey, and I've seen it takes up quite a bit of space. Like, some people said they fit it all in a little foot ottoman, but the problem is if I stored it that way, I would have to get up a lot, and that doesn't work for me. And reaching to my trolley can become quite difficult with my cat. So, no. No. That did not work. So, they got a very short trial and were very quickly scrapped. Alright, so... Alright, we're finally on the last one. Okay, so let me have some tea. It's probably gone cold. I made it before I started this video, and this video's been going for an hour before I edit it. You know what? When you work in the animal industry as a animal attendant / nurse in training, there is a saying that one of my co-workers says, if you drink your tea and it's still hot, you ain't working hard enough. I think that's very good. But if you're a stitcher, you often get too distracted stitching and your tea goes cold, and you're quite tolerant of drinking cold tea. My husband can't believe I drink cold tea. He shakes his head. I will pop it in the microwave at some point and reheat it. if I haven't drunk too much by then. Okay, so floss cards. Now, I will just use these floss cards in general. I disliked, but mainly, which I will just use this one to example it, mainly because I'm referring to, when I say I dislike floss cards, I'm referring to these, that the bends that you put in them make it weak. If you pull the floss too hard, it will just pull right through. I won't pull that all the way out, but you can easily wear it. And if you have a big project that's taken a long time, you quite often break your floss card, or at least I did. I'm not very good with them. There you go, 23 colours. So that was the flaws I found with floss cards in general, was just their flimsiness. Like, look at that. Unbelievable. But, I do like that you can write on it and it's all changeable, and I do like it. I do like floss cards it's just and I have tried using thicker cardstock. I still rip it, but I was desperate for a new way, and I really liked, I saw a lady who did this. She had all her DMC fit into folders, like I have done here. All her DMC, like this, into folders. I saw it, 2 folders, that would be easy for me to, because like if I come in here and want to kit up, I can't. I'm in here too long. My cat starts to cry. He's only not crying now because I've got the fire on and it's cold enough that he's sitting in the fire, and he hasn't realised that I'm not around. It's too early, it's like 7 in the morning here, so fortunately he hasn't realised I'm up. And he's being a good boy. But I thought that would be fantastic in folders. You know, condensed storage, 2 folders, it's pretty, it looked really nice. You could braid it. Some people braid these. This folder isn't suitable, obviously. I need to get probably an A3 one. That's just an old TAFE folder that I had lying around that I thought would do the job, to see if I liked it. Now, I'm in love. I seriously am, because it's my pre-cut floss. My husband went and bought me a laminator, and I'm using paper. Just paper. I could have used cardstock. I could have, but again, I am trying the product, and I didn't want to waste the money on cardstock and make a whole bunch of these and then laminate them. So the thing I loved is if you pre-laminate the fabric, I can write on it and then rub it off and reuse it for another kit if the card is still in good condition, which is pretty good. It's pretty cheap. It's paper, printer ink and laminate. Not that pricey. The flexibility is laminate flexibility, so no problems there. See? It just pops back open. I'm using a Sharpie fine-tipped permanent marker. It is rubbing off. That is something I have noticed. If I don't let it set, it has rubbed off a little bit. So my husband has said that I can just use the labeler and stick the labeler on here. He said the labeling equipment is cheap, because if he gets the, depending on which one he gets, so he doesn't mind. So, and he said he's now got the plastic one because the paper one was crap. So he's now got the plastic. So it sticks really well, he says. So he said just take the laminator and do that. So I probably will, because then I can just stick on it, pull it off. Another method I can use is just get a whiteout tape, draw some whiteout on it, write on the whiteout tape. When I'm done, scratch that off, because that won't come off either. That will add a better writing surface that will absorb the marker. I did print one and write on it before I laminated it, and I'm not that concerned because I can just, as I said, white out or put labels over it, and so that card can still be reused. But in general, since I didn't know how many I would need, I just laminated a whole bunch of blank ones, and I'm now just working through them, setting them up for what I need. Now, I can use my rings, my little metal rings, as you can see, to hold them for when they go. So this one, I didn't have any metal rings left, so I just used some of those. It works. And I haven't, this floss is at full length because this is like quite long, which I know is going to be a little more annoying to work with, but it's for a needle point, so I'm not cutting because it's usually 6 strands, so I would usually pull 3 and fold it in half. So I'm not going to pre-cut. I'm not going to cut these even shorter. These are what their pre-cut lengths were, so this is what they obviously suggest to use. Now, I wanted to show you. So these ones don't have a ring either yet. So most of that's a full skein on each little ring. So what I like is I've got the numbers. I can put symbols next to them if I wish to, which I may. I can write bigger if I needed to, but that seems big enough. That's comfortable for me. Where is the other one? Here it is. And this was the one that I tested these on. I just printed one. I had to print 2 pages actually, and tested it on, and that was when I made the decision to change all my floss to them. So, floss cards, pros and cons. Flexible size, label flexibility, floss is pre-cut, can return off cuts. They're compact and they're quite cheap. The cons are they are breakable if just card, wear out quickly if just card. They're limited floss, and the floss can sometimes not. And but now that I have changed the way I do things, because I used to store everything just in a tray, I now make floss bags. This is my very first one I made. With the vinyl front. Oh, that was a learning curve, I will tell you that much. This zipper and I have a love-hate relationship. It's a zipper I scavenged off an old dress that I'm turning into a skirt because I bought the dress. It's beautiful, but the blouse part of the dress is designed for someone that is not butch. And there's no fixing it. A butch or busted. No fix. I even got it, made sure I checked the sizing, but apparently what arrived was not sizing. Online shopping. Anyway, but the skirt fits my waist, so I'm going to turn it into a skirt. So the zipper that was for the dress part, I recycled. I pulled that off about this off about 7 times. Luckily, it's a zipper that you can remount it with a bit of fiddling. Okay, so this is my first heaven and earth. I took the plunge. So I took the plunge and I started stitching my first heaven and earth. So it's 88 colours, and I thought that was a perfect way to test how much I can tolerate these. I had the floss, it was cut to the longer lengths. I changed it and cut it to the shorter lengths because I am stitching 1/1. So it was originally, nope, these lengths. It was originally these lengths, I would say. And I cut it in half and shortened it. This is my own floss, this is CXC. And a few DMCs because The shipment of 60 I got didn't give me all of them, so some are DMC. And here it is. Absolutely beautiful. Now, I haven't had the cat knock it over because it sits on the arm, it's got enough weight from the fabric that it doesn't move, but it's also because it's bendy, when he tries to shift around it, it just kind of molds around him. And this is why I don't think I'd change it to cardstock, because what's working now is because it bends and lies along the arm, and then it's more anchored. But that's the other reason I love it, because I just slot it in there, sit that on my arm. He can walk across that. It doesn't slide because the fabric grabs the couch. He can't dirty it because of the vinyl on the front. And it's easy for me to just leave the zipper open, just go in, grab my colour, and done. So this, I stitched on this piece since the 11th of June to the end of June. Didn't have a single problem, other than I had to cut the floss. That was it. Now what I loved, and this is the bit that actually surprised me, is I thought, getting to the different level cards would be difficult. Same thing, put them on little rings. Okay, so at the moment my colours are mainly the card 5 and card 1. That's how easy it was. Card 1, card 5. I would just look here and flip. If I want a different one, how fantastic these are working. Now, I would highly suggest they take up little space, and when I'm done, if I don't want to bother putting, I've only put 2 strands, which is 4 strands now cut, but it was originally 2 strands of the longer length of each colour. So I can just take 2 strands from the master set and put the master set back, so that I can kit up multiple pieces if I really wanted. And I only take from the master set what I may need. So I just if there's only, say, 70 colours, that probably will cover it. And if something has like 10,000, okay, restock it a few times. Not a big deal. So that was what I chose, and I have tried countless ways to sort that nonsense that's over there out of that big cardboard box, and I have never got there. That was one day. I did it. And that's not just that one. That one is done. As you can see, I've sorted this one. I've sorted this one. I have a lot of kits, and I've sorted those. It's great. There is nothing wrong with it. Like, again, even with the longer lengths, not so bad. Not so bad. These will not, because they're longer lengths, but I'm not too concerned. I'm not too concerned. If I'm really concerned, I can just fold them and then have to pull them off. I would cut these, but these are done 2 over 1, so 2 strands over 1, so I do not wish to, and I use the lip stars, so they need to be that long. But it's fantastic. And there was something else I wished to show you. Let's see if I can find them. This was the other method I tried. Nope. And this was the Heaven Earth, and this lasted me maybe 2-3 days of my stitching. These are the 2 sets of shades, so the warms, so to speak, you could say, and the cool colours. The warms and the cools. This is what's on here. Look at the size difference on little key rings, and instead of I would just use keep the floss card, put a little braid elastic plait them down, and then just, I've made a loop that just sits on the ring. They're pretty as can be. I do love the prettiness. They are so pretty. And they are nice to stroke. They are nice to stroke. But sifting through that was very time consuming. And some of the little things was ripping, and returning the strand I would just loop it around that, which, yeah, but that was the other thing. They kept moving and knotting on each other, and if I had to cut them shorter like I have that, it would have just been even more bulky. So I have taken what I needed, and I'm going to return these to my master set, and for future I will, when I need a skein and it hasn't been pre-prepared, I will prepare it like this, and then I will put it back in my master set after taking the 2 strands I need. So they will be stored like this, so that they're easy to get what I need from them, but they will not be used like this in a sense. Beautiful though, but yeah, that did not work. So I have tried that method as well. I do not know what to call that method. I will show you my storage just so you understand. That is my master set in 2 boxes. That's it. Master set. Easy done. Now, if you ask, I store by families. Reason for that is there's a bit of limit on how much you can fit in these boxes. You can get larger ones, but they don't come in the big cases. You only get like 5, I think, 5 or 6. But the reason I like the families is I love seeing the pretty colours, and I can match the box to the family to protect it from sunlight. I got the coloured ones because light penetrates less. Even though it's stored in the corner of my room in a Queen Anne wood cabinet that I found on Facebook. Stunning piece of work. Pure, true wood craftsmanship, furniture craftsmanship. But it's pretty easy to sort through. As you can see, I've just returned them into their little container. I have to go through and pull out what I was doing because I was putting them all in here, and I did try just working from these as well, the skeins from these, didn't work. All the pre-cut pieces did not work. It was getting the container up. My arm was starting to have problems with that because I had to have it on my left, and as I said, my left arm does not have great mobility. So there's limited of how many colours you can fit in here, and when you're numbers, people, if you choose numbers, go for it. You know, you got like not many from the 100 range. You've only got like, I think, 4 colours from the 200 range. 300 is like 2 boxes worth. 800 takes like 6 boxes or something. It's just, it was astronomical. Like, it would have irked me badly, honestly. I am not someone that can cope with it. I would have needed probably another briefcase of these. I stored by family because when I looked up, most families consist of 32 to 24 colours. Perfect. It's about 40 this can hold. So that means I can fit multiple skeins of each colour in here, and it shouldn't be too problems because if you can hold about 40, say 2 of each colour, that's 44 for a 24. Should be fine. And I know it can hold a little bit more because I originally had my 6s and 7. I had my 5s and 4s, which is quite a lot of floss. Right, that's not so much in the 5, but 4 is quite a lot of floss. So I had them all in one box, and like It's not too crowded. And sifting through it, it's not too bad, honestly. And if I'm doing it here in my room, it won't be a problem at all. I just pull them all out and then tuck them all back in. Easy done. Pull them all out, lay them out, pick the one I need, tuck the rest back in the box, grab the next colour, family, and use my spreadsheet to find it all. To know what families I need to pull out and how many colours I need to pull out from each family. I'm going to return those to those. That's going to be fun. But I think that's everything I had to show you. I just wanted to tell you the pros and cons in a correlated video. I did not expect it to go this long. Hopefully when I edit it, it shrinks right down. Sorry if I rambled a little bit. I'm trying to practice that, but I'm typically known as a chatterbox. But then yes, all my projects are in the process of being stored into project bags. I am, as I said, a crafter learning, so I have a few different crafts and I am trying to sort my crafts to be easier in my storage method. So without further ado, I will say goodbye. So those are the pros and cons of everything, and I hope it helped you learn the differences in methods, and I hope you can figure out from maybe my video what works for you and avoid wasting time and effort and money and frustrations on things that won't. All the best of luck in finding what storage method works for you, and adios.